Okay, hello. So I got my testing done for the thing I was trying to fix, and we're gonna continue now. We are going to we're gonna explain our concept for the Enclave here. We're gonna go with expanded lore on current canon, and we're gonna use confirmed canon. All right. So there are four factions in the Enclave. These are all four confirmed canon. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. There is Modius's faction from Fallout 76 that lost contact with the rest of the Enclave. Robots, whatever, survivors that might have run before the survivors that didn't die in the Civil War that would have fled from the outbreak of Scorched. They probably would have returned years later. And there's also the Vault 76 dwellers. And then look at the people at the White Springs Resort, right? Where'd they come from? So there are Enclave personnel that aren't Vault dwellers that serve the Enclave. There are Enclave personnel in 76, okay? Vault dwellers and non-Vault dwellers. So we have Modius's faction. We have Enclave High Command that station Sigma squads to locations that help continue the survival of the Enclave. So that's the second faction. Our third faction is President Eden. And the reason why I say that is a lot of soldiers, they said President Eden, I believe he said it was a secret. A lot of people didn't know he was a robot. So if a lot of soldiers, they believe in the patriotism, they believe in the Enclave, and they believe Eden is human. So saying that Eden was a robot or saying that he died, well, if they are told that he was a robot while he died, then when they were believing he was human, they know that there's going to be something up with that, because the Enclave are supremacists of pure humanity. We're not affected by radiation. We're the real humans or whatever. So they're supremacists, and their leader is gone. So a lot of the Enclave. If we go back to the location here, if we go back to the official Fallout 3 Gamers Guide entry, the remains of Enclave camps dotted throughout the wasteland with little or no contact or ongoing tactical orders. So a camp could have survived, and they would have no contact. The Enclave's not reaching out to everyone. And, we're not talking about the Fallout 3 war, because they tell you that they have been wiping out the Enclave camps, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the entry here, because that entry is supposed to be it's supposed to be broken steel, current broken steel, that there were camps that just didn't have contact. So people know that President Eden, though they believe, President Eden is human. Not only that, so we would have people that wouldn't believe that the president was assassinated. And we also have another issue here where President Eden probably wasn't destroyed for two reasons. One, you can't damage him, and he tells you as much. You cannot physically destroy him. You can either make him turn himself online and self-destruct the base, or you can make him reset himself. But just because they reset themselves or part of their base is destroyed doesn't mean that they didn't have a backup plan or that they didn't have a contingency, because when you reset Eden, some code in that, even though there was a reset, there's some part of the code in there that wasn't reset that makes you take the vial to carry out the Enclave's plan. So even though he's reset, the Enclave command code is still doing its thing. And the Enclave base in Fallout 76 with the female AI that had Modius's code downloaded, added to her, she downloaded herself to a sentry bot. So President Eden, his base code, even if he's reset, the Enclave code is still functioning, but it's at a reset level, so he could still come back. He already taught himself to be sentient once. He could do it again. And then for the self-destruct, he could have easily got a backup for himself. So President Eden is most likely 100% alive. And then those that didn't hear from him will go off to do their own thing if they're not listening to High Command because they were stationed under Eden. So we've covered Modius. We've covered High Command. We've covered Eden. Where is this fourth Enclave faction? Well, we're going to be expanding on that faction with this confirmed lore. Fallout 3, the very first quest mission of Broken Steel, has you, how do you say, going to a communications array. You go in there and you find the Enclave is communicating to all sorts of places. Now, my idea is this, okay? If I'm an Enclave commander and I'm out at a location, an outpost, and there's like a red alert on the other side where the Lone Wanderer is busting in with the Brotherhood of Steel, if I'm getting that red alert from them, I'm going to turn off my communications from my side. Because I don't want them finding me. I don't want them finding my base. I don't want them seeing any communications I had with them. I don't want to even leave any records that they could find. Like, if I would probably try to remote delete the records if I could about what's at my place, at my base. And the Enclave will not and is not, they're not powerful. Okay? The Brotherhood of Steel is not just in the Commonwealth and in the Capital Wasteland. They're in different areas. They've expanded along the entire coast. It's confirmed canon if you read the computer entries on the Brotherhood of Steel. Let's go read that real quick. Right here, Elder Maxon reigns supreme in the Capital Wasteland, and his authority and influence have spread across the eastern seaboard. The Enclave are real living people. When we look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Winter Soldier movie, S.H.I.E.L.D. was supposed to be disbanded, and a faction of S.H.I.E.L.D. closed themselves off and came back later in the show because they believed that they were going to do their own good. A splinter faction. So because of the Fallout 3 entry with little contact or no contact, and previous Enclave installations have gone independent, with Modius's faction going independent. They basically confirmed that there are places that had no contact that aren't contacting them. That doesn't mean that they aren't there. So there are locations that are on their own. We have this confirmed. We have Modius, who has gone on their own, and we have a communication network. We have an inciting incident. We have an inciting thing here where the Brotherhood of Steel invaded this Enclave installation that had communication network all set up with multiple places, and it would make sense that when the place was broken into, and they went on alert, it makes sense that a place that was being aware of this would cut off communications and cut off contact as a whole. I mean, the Enclave put all their resources in the Capital Wasteland, and it all went to shit. So we know that there are places with no contact, and we will be using that here. In the Commonwealth, there is a faction that the Enclave, and here's the thing, okay? The Enclave is the Brotherhood of Steel is all across the wasteland, all right? Across the eastern seaboard. That's confirmed canon, all right? And we have locations of Enclave that are hiding, that have little contact or no contact with High Command. We're assuming that High Command would be the place that everyone's trying to connect to, because they were in charge of the Broken Steel Enclave post-Eden. So this is what we know. We know Sigma squads are sent out to locations that are important to the survival of the Enclave. We know that there are locations that went dormant post the Broken Steel War, and we know that bases have gone splintered. They've splintered off, okay? So with all of this is what I'm thinking. The Enclave here in the Commonwealth, the Brotherhood is still showing up in the last 10 years, and they know that the Brotherhood wiped the floor with them. So they're going to go quiet, all right? Because the Brotherhood of Steel even went into the glowing sea, into the nuclear bunker. If there was any Enclave here, they would have detected that. Not to mention the nuclear blast here. This is where the Enclave base is going to be. because it's right next to the nuclear facility, and it would make sense that it would be a very, like, I know bunkers are hidden, like Enclave bunkers are like off in the distance, but like there was intended targets to hit every place. So to go pretty hard on the glowing sea other than every other area, it doesn't make sense to just hit a attacking facility that could attack them back. There would have had to have been something more important here to really hammer it in. And we're going to say an Enclave base, okay? And this Enclave base went in, and they found out that Lone Wanderer and the had broken in with the Brotherhood of Steel Knights with Liberty Prime, and they're getting slaughtered. They're getting all this communications, and they're like, oh shit, these guys are getting slaughtered here. We've already lost contact with Eden. We're gonna shut this stuff down. And hold on. So they're gonna shut this stuff down, and in Fallout New Vegas, we learn that Colonel Autumn he was in charge of managing different projects for the Enclave, such as the Combat iRobot project, where ED was crafted from. I probably botched the name of that project, whatever. And he chose where resources went, so he could shut down a project and move resources from it. And when you move resources, so ED's creator would have had